Welcome back to the podcast, Dr. Marie Fang. How are you doing?
Oh, it's so good to be here. I'm doing really well. We were just chatting offline for a second, and it's been just shy of 2 years since the last time, and so
Yeah,
much has happened for both of us since
I
then. It's
know. I
incredible.
can't believe it's been so long. I think you were one of my first guests that I had on the podcast. So excited, to catch up. It's always fun to kind of see where life and business takes people. And I just, I follow you on Instagram. It's probably where I see most of your stuff. Although we will be talking about YouTube today. That's kind of where I follow you. And so yeah, it seems like life is just rocking and rolling for you.
Yeah, and likewise, it's so exciting to see.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for those who don't know you or haven't seen you on YouTube or Instagram, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Marie Fang. I'm a licensed psychologist. I have a private practice in San Jose, California, where I'm right now. I'm doing that very part-time. And I also have private practice skills, which is just kind of resources online designed for therapists to start and grow their private practice. And that's probably most of the stuff that you see of me online, YouTube, Instagram is private practice skills stuff. So that's a little nutshell.
Yeah. And so we were also just talking about how I'm so excited for this conversation because you have that part-time private practice. And, it's really where you started was with private practice. And then you moved into helping people build and start their practices. So, and also grow your social media following. And I know, um, not to like put you up on a pedestal, but I can see you got a lot of followers. You got a lot of people who are watching your YouTube videos. So you definitely know you're practicing what you're preaching. And I'm excited that you're kind of in these, both camps, building an audience, reaching more people, but also doing the private practice stuff. And so I think that it'll kind of help steer us in our conversation about YouTube and when's the right way to use it and how to use it. So just excited for this conversation.
Yeah, me too. I love talking about YouTube, so it'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I was also saying, I'm ready to learn a lot from you because, I've got a YouTube channel, but do I use it to like really reach a lot of people? Not really. It's just kind of there because I know someday I will probably focus on it. So this is for me as well. And so I'm excited to learn.
Yeah,
So where
sounds
where do
great.
you where do you want to start with this? So I guess well maybe my first question would be like why should someone even consider YouTube as, a marketing strategy for their private practice?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's probably a couple of prongs that live within this category. Because sometimes it can feel like YouTube is such a big beast, and I don't have time to add another thing to my plate. Or a lot of people might feel that way.
Right.
But there's some easy on ramp tools, and then it kind of scales up to like more investment. So on a kind of most basic, easy access level, I do think it's really useful to use video, whether you do it through YouTube or a different means, but to use video in some form in your marketing materials. So whether that be like on the homepage of your website, you have a little intro video that's like 30 seconds or a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Or if you're on social media and using, I mean, that's not if you're on Instagram or something like that, using video is really powerful to developing trust with anyone, including your potential clients. So even if you do zero other things on YouTube, I think it's a really great asset that's so untapped right now
Yeah.
to film a succinct kind of intro video to the kind of work that you do, and post it to YouTube, and then you can embed it in places like your website, so that people really kind of get a feel of what it's like to see you and hear from you,
Yeah.
how you interact and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like an easy on ramp, one and done type thing. I don't want to say it's scary to get on video, but you don't have to
Yeah.
like learn all these tech skills and kind of
Yeah.
keep posting or learn the algorithm or all that stuff. It's just, yeah, go ahead and use that
Yeah.
and leverage it to your benefit. And I think a lot of therapists could definitely do that, and reap the benefit.
Yeah. So you're saying like you can just have a YouTube account and just upload that one video or two videos and embed that in your website and it's kind of like it's it's just there. You're using it on more on your website, right?
Yeah, yeah, something that you can use as a tool in different places, to make yourself more visible and accessible. because
Right.
video is
Right.
really powerful to building trust.
Yep.
So that's kind of like an intro tier, like a lot of people could access that. And then kind of the next tier up, which is something that I did with my private practice side. It played out differently than I planned it. I thought I was going to post a bunch of videos on YouTube and get clients from it. And it worked differently than that. So I'll explain. But if you do
Interesting.
post videos more regularly to YouTube and in the hopes of for your practice, your private practice, um, it's a great resource for your existing clients. So that's similar to a blog post in many ways. If you have kind of the same breathing exercises that you kind of do over and over, and you did it in session with your client maybe, and now you're going to send them home, you can send them with the YouTube link and just say, hey, you're going to now do this every day for 5 minutes. Just follow
Yeah.
along with my YouTube video. And now, you have a tool. If you're referencing that with a bunch of different folks, you can just give them the link and they get a little access to you without you
Yeah.
having to put more work.
Hmm.
So that's something that accidentally happened for me, where I had this YouTube channel that I was building before my private practice skills one, where I kind of shared just like tips and tools to be your best self. And I shared kind of basic therapeutic tools in little short videos, and my existing clients would find them and say, oh, Dr. Fang, those are so helpful. I was showing my
Yeah.
partner this video on communication skills, and we've been practicing it or whatever. So that's definitely a strategy.
Yeah, I
That
love that because I love the idea of using your website or YouTube or videos within your website as a resource for your current clients. And that's kind of I talk about that a lot with my clients, is that your website is not sort of this like one and done thing, but it can actually like serve not just to get clients, but also really serve your clients afterwards. And I think that that's a really cool idea, to be able to have videos, or even like my mind starts to go through like all like the marketing funnel sort of stuff of like, well, you could also package those videos together into like a free thing that somebody opts in with an email address, and then they get to
Mhm.
kind of go a little bit further with you. So they see you on the website, maybe your intro videos there, and then maybe they get a few more videos and they're kind of learning about more about you, and as you said, like your how you speak, and sort of get comfortable. But it seems like it, so YouTube wasn't really working for you to get new clients, it was really serving your current clients.
Yeah, serving current clients and serving people who maybe couldn't become clients because maybe they couldn't afford it, or people find you on YouTube from all over the world. So
Right.
that's part of it, is like, oh, people are contacting me from a state on the other side of the US saying, "Oh, I loved your video on this or that. Can I see you?" And I'm not licensed in that state. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." um, but
Yeah.
then the resource is still there. I like what you said, though. I hadn't even thought of that. You could kind of post unlisted videos to YouTube, which means people can only access it if you give them the link,
Yeah.
and kind of create a resource that way, whether it's for your existing clients or kind of an email marketing strategy.
You're right.
There's
Yeah.
different ways that could go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
So did you
Yeah.
ever find that YouTube was helping you get new clients, or was it really just kind of like you were learning this sort of like, what do I do with these videos, and it's really serving your current clients?
Yeah, I think this is, I'd love to be proven wrong on this, because I would love for like a thriving YouTube channel to be a great source of generating potential clients. But when people use YouTube, they're not, even though it operates like a search engine, just like Google, people generally aren't searching for something local when they're using YouTube, versus when you're doing a Google search and you're saying, I want tacos, you type in
Right.
tacos near me. Google knows what you're looking for, and you get a map, and it's all.
Yeah.
When you go on YouTube, you're not going to be searching tacos near me. You might be looking for world's best tacos, or something that's
Yeah.
more global and less localized. And so that makes it a little bit trickier to target a location, especially since you're probably not able to see clients all over the US or all over the world. So that's the part I haven't been able to figure that one out, because I did get a lot of inquiries from people who wanted to be my clients, but almost never from someone that I could actually see. I don't think I
Right.
personally, was able to figure that one out. So
Yeah.
if there may be someone listening though who is like, oh, Marie missed a key point, but
Yeah.
that was my experience, and it's quite a bit of work to put in to say, well, it's not targeted to at least a local region. So
Yeah.
you're kind of you're putting a lot of work into casting a really broad net,
Hmm.
and maybe people are contacting you, but they might not be able to schedule because they're out of
Yeah.
state or whatever it might be.
Right. Yep.
So that's kind of how it ended up playing out for me. I did experiment a little bit with YouTube ads within local regions, but I don't think I knew what I was doing. So that would be an interesting experiment for the future
Yeah.
to potentially run YouTube ads that are localized, and see how that might impact your practice.
True. Yes, that would be another way, and that's kind of getting into some really like nuanced marketing and investing in ads and marketing and stuff like that for
Yeah.
sure. But that
Yeah.
makes total sense, and to me that almost kind of simplifies like for anyone listening who's like, okay, I've got a private practice, I want to create more connection with my clients or potential clients. I want my website to really speak to them and people feel comfortable to reach out, so maybe they kind of start with like what you're saying is just create like a sort of a welcome video. Maybe there's some exercises and things that they could do and maybe embed that in their blog posts, and that can kind of be it for what they use YouTube for. um,
Mhm.
is there anything else on sort of this front on the private practice marketing and using YouTube for private practice marketing that you want to talk about? Because I know that, I mean, I would like to get into a little bit more of like the audience building as well, but I don't want to cut this part of the conversation short.
Yeah, I think that's the key point that I would want to say about this is if you're using YouTube to market your practice, or honestly, if you're using any platform, whatever platforms you're using to market your practices, it's so important to emphasize that you're aware of your potential clients' pain points and you're naming ways that you're going to help them solve a problem or move towards transformation with your videos. And sometimes that can make it easier to know what kind of videos to make. But we don't want just videos or an intro video where it's just, hi, I'm Dr. Marie Fang. I specialize in this. I have openings. Schedule with me today.
Hmm.
Click here to schedule. Right? It's
Yeah.
you're naming a potential pain point of your ideal client. Like, oh man, are you just sick of dealing with panic attacks every day, and you're really wanting to, you wanting your life to look like this and that. Well, here's how I approach this, or here's some tools to help you approach that. That's the dynamic that really helps build trust, is naming those
Hmm.
pain points and
Yeah.
how you can offer a transformation somehow.
Yeah.
So otherwise, you're just kind of wasting your time and your breath and all of that.
Yeah.
So that's true on YouTube just as much as it is in your blog posts or social media or wherever you might be putting yourself out there.
Yeah, that's a really good tip, because I know a lot of people are like, I don't know what I should do on this video. I don't know, where should I start? So thinking about those pain points is a good place to start. I'd also recommend Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Is a
Yes,
great book to kind of help you frame like where is your client's pain points, and sort of like where do they want to go? What does success look like? And that can kind of help people
absolutely.
like create some scripts there.
Absolutely. And that's, again, great for all aspects of your practice, not just
Yeah.
YouTube.
Right.
Um, and then the other piece that's just, this is true of all video, is most people are really awkward filming themselves initially. I have old videos, Private Practice Skills is my third YouTube channel, but if we go in the archives of my first one, it's like listening to nails on a chalkboard when I go back and watch them, because
uh,
we're so awkward on video. That's just what happens.
yeah.
So the recommendation, the kind of easy hack that I have to overcome that is to just do several trial recordings of yourself that you're not planning on posting, and just keep recording video of yourself and watching it back until you start to actually seem like yourself in video. Because that is a huge thing. You watch people's videos.
Yeah.
Maybe they did the intro video and it's on their website, and you're just like, oh no, this is very awkward to watch. So
Oh,
that's really worth it to just re-record several times or just do trial run, once a day, pull out your phone and
Yeah.
record yourself talking to yourself,
Yeah.
watch it back one time and try again the next day just to kind of get used to it.
Yeah,
That's really
that's a
helpful.
really good tip. I have some of those videos as well. And Facebook Lives is something that I used to do a lot of. And like I didn't know what I was doing when I first started, but everyone was like, videos the new thing. So it's like, well, I gotta practice. So I'm the type of person who's okay with like the awkwardness of like getting started because I know that the payoff is like it just takes time. So have some grace if you're listening. Have some grace on yourself and just get started somewhere.
Yeah.
Practice.
Yes. And also that we're all awkward at the beginning. It's not like if you
Yeah.
look awkward, people will say like, "Oh, I'm awkward on video." It's like, "No, that's just because you're new. We all start there."
Right.
So
Yep.
exactly,
Absolutely.
just get started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about. Um, so we kind of mentioned, sort of the limitations of YouTube with marketing for a private practice. So when does it make sense to like go all in? When you see some of these folks who are building like you said, a YouTube channel, like they're really investing time and effort into it. When does it make sense to do that?
Yeah, there might be multiple reasons to do this, but I can maybe speak to a little bit of why I've chosen to do that, and I think
Yeah.
that might apply to some people. And at least for me, why I've chosen to really invest in like growing an audience on a YouTube channel is so that I could reach out to people outside of just trying to grow my practice, and specifically trying to grow my passive income so that I don't have to spend as much time seeing therapy clients because at least for me, I love seeing therapy clients, but I don't love seeing 30 plus therapy clients a week.
Yeah.
And so to find that sweet spot of really scaling down how much time I'm spending with my clients so that I just absolutely love that time, but to still generate income, was a reason why I personally chose to grow my audience. There's different ways to generate income when you grow your audience, but whether you grow it through YouTube or a different avenue, a different type of social media, or different ways to grow your audience, then it opens up more doors for kind of passive streams of income. So examples could be
Okay.
like, I know you sell courses, or it could be if you have a book that you're selling. Usually there's some kind of maybe product that you're selling, or there's also things like affiliate marketing, sponsors, and ad revenue that apply as well.
Yeah.
But that was why I ended up doing it. I think why a lot of people do choose to grow an audience is, you can
Yeah.
help a lot of people with free content and you can grow your income without having to kind of trade your time for money in the same way that we do with our clients.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. I think that's really cool that you've kind of identified that. Like you want to be able to be present with your clients. So like let's limit the amount of clients, but let's also have some of that passive income coming in. So that's really cool. And it's been really just fun to watch you grow, over the last 2 years on YouTube and Instagram. So very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
what are some ways that have worked for you to start building your audience? And I know that you seem to be one who shares a lot about your trial and error and that sort of stuff. So I'd love to just hear like some of those specific things that people can do and things that you've tried that you've learned.
Yes. There's a couple of tips that I think are super important for anyone wanting to grow on YouTube, that again apply to a lot of other platforms too. But one is what you already brought up too, the importance of knowing your story brand. If you just say, I'm going to show up and start making videos about whatever I feel like, it's not really clear who you're talking to, what you're about, what kind of transformation you're trying to put out into the world. So if one day I'm talking about, I don't know why I'm bringing up, I love tacos. So one day I'm talking about
I
the
do too.
tacos that I'm eating because today I'm making some tacos. Here's my tacos recipe. And that's one video. And the next day I'm talking about a deep breathing exercise for people with panic disorder. That's not really clear. And then, the
Yeah.
next day it's something different. It's not really clear what you're about. And so you're maybe on some of your videos, they might get a one-off video where you're getting more views because
Yeah.
people found it in search or something like that. But when you're talking about building an audience, you're wanting your series of videos to all connect to the same person or kind of grouping of people, in the same way that if you have a favorite TV show, you're kind of expecting it to keep producing some similar kind of content,
Hmm.
rather than just randomly changing topics or addressing a different audience in the
Yeah.
next week's episode or whatever.
Yeah.
So really getting your head around, what am I about and who am I serving is so important. If you skip that step, then your YouTube channel is probably not going to grow. So
Hmm.
that's the first step, I think, to starting any business, to starting any kind of venture, is knowing what you're about, who you serve, and what kind of
Yeah.
offering you have for them.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about doing that is then it kind of builds in video topics to say, well, okay, if this is the person that I serve, so private practice skills, I'm serving therapists who are maybe interested in getting started in private practice, or they're already getting on their way but could use some more tools. Well, I can ask, like, what kinds of problems would someone have? What are the stuck points or questions they might be asking? And do I have answers to any of those questions? If I do, each of those can just be a video.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's really helpful in that way too, that you kind of have a steady stream of new content to create, because you just keep helping that group of people
Yeah.
essentially with each of
Yeah.
your videos. So
Hmm.
that's so important. I think yeah, that's probably the most important step. And then the second piece that comes to mind is, just like with websites, and I know you're familiar with this, is the importance of YouTube SEO. So just
Hmm.
like how the Google and the internet has SEO, which I know you've talked about in your content as well already, where you kind of have to signal to Google and your website what your website's about to help people actually find it in search results. It's the
Right.
exact same thing on YouTube. YouTube is just a different kind of search engine. People are searching for help with a question or whatever it is that they're
Yeah.
searching. And the YouTube algorithm, which is owned by Google, so it's the same thing really,
Yeah.
is running the same way as Google does when it's looking at different websites and saying, okay, well, which video do I think is going to best help this person address whatever they're searching for? And if you don't know what strategies to use to really help your video be the right one that shows up for those terms, then it's not going to show up and people won't find
Right.
you.
Yeah.
The good news is there's tools to help you do that. So I use a free tool called TubeBuddy, and you can pay for an upgrade, but they have a free version, and that just kind of helps you know who's searching for what on YouTube and how likely is your channel to show up for a certain search term, or if maybe this search term isn't the best one, here's another one that's maybe a little more popular.
Oh, cool.
So I use that for every single video, have an idea, and then I go, let me check TubeBuddy and see what TubeBuddy thinks about this video idea. And sometimes
Hmm.
I'll tweak it a little bit because people aren't quite searching for that, but they are searching for this similar thing.
Yeah. That's great.
And then I kind of draft the video. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And what are some, like, so talking about that SEO piece, are there certain things that everyone should do with like every video when they, upload it? Like, I mean, obviously it should have some sort of title, but are there certain other places that you should make sure you've got the right keywords, that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, it's as far as the keywords go, yeah, you're right. The title is super important, and the description is also really important. So when you upload a YouTube video, there's a description box just below the video, and YouTube is crawling that description as well. Just like when you write a blog post, Google is looking at your title and also the text in the body of the blog. So it's really similar to that.
Hmm.
And then there's also a place where you can add tags. And depending on what experts you hear from, some people say the tags really matter and some people say they don't. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, just put the keywords in the tags. It's
Yeah,
probably not
just
going
to
to
be
ding you
safe.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's other things that I do that I don't actually know if they make a difference, but like the video file on my computer, before I upload it, I make sure the keyword is in the title on my
Hmm.
desktop before I
Yeah.
upload it to
Yeah.
YouTube, it's just one more place where I can put the keywords. So that's a big component of SEO. There's the other components to make sure your videos get watched are less about what terms you're using and more about the content you're creating. And even things like the thumbnail is really, really important. So we can definitely talk about those things too. I love talking about all that.
Let's get into that. I'm just a student right now, so I don't know what I don't know with YouTube other than I upload a video and I record these podcast episodes and we make a thumbnail, but that's about it. So if we can make those thumbnails better, I'm all ears.
Yeah. Well, there's kind of like a sequence of events that I think through in the YouTube algorithm. There's like, okay, is the title something that people are searching for? If it's not something people are searching for, it's not a video, in my mind, worth making, unless it's for my existing audience that I think my subscribers will click on it, even if no one's searching for it.
Gotcha.
But if you're trying to build an audience, no one's going to find you yet. If the title is not searchable. And then the next layer after that, the next most important piece is the thumbnail, because people look at the thumbnail before they look at the title. So you do a search on YouTube, like, I don't know, picking on the same topic, like I help me with my panic attack or whatever it is. And, some videos pop up. Well, the person looking for help with the panic attack isn't reading the title first. Their eye is scanning through the thumbnails. Which, so folks know the thumbnail is just that little picture representing the video that shows up next to the title. And you can customize that title. You can upload a custom title, and there's different places you can create you can upload a thumbnail, not the title, and so there's different places you can design a thumbnail, like Canva. You could do it for free. But really it's important that that thumbnail has some representation of what's happening in the video, right? So sometimes you see folks where they use like a stock photo in the thumbnail, but if that stock photo isn't existing within the video, those tend to perform a little bit worse, because maybe people think, oh, I'm going to see what's happening in this stock photo, and you click on it and just like, oh, that's not what's happening in this video. So if it's so generally for me, like most of my videos is like talking head videos, or I'm just sitting at my desk chatting. So most of the thumbnails that I post are a photo of me sitting at my desk, even though I took that photo after I filmed the video, but it kind of looks like it could be from the video. And then the text on the thumbnail is important as well. So, maybe like 4 words max that summarize what you're going to get from the video. So
only 4 words.
That's a challenge. Less is more. Less is more. Sometimes I exceed it, but yeah, just kind of like, for that person searching for help with panic attacks, it might be like, stop panic now. And that's the text on your thumbnail, on a picture of you, like you're sometimes, if you're making an emotional face, then people are more likely to click on a thumbnail. So
right. I've heard about that too. Or even just like sort of this random looking face that you make, often they get better engagement. It's kind of strange, but it does.
That's, if you look at my YouTube channel, that's what's there. So like half of the videos are making a silly face.
So let's talk about like a real world example. I'm thinking through this because I know we don't do this with the thumbnails. Like with the podcast episodes, I usually just put, the full title of the podcast episode. So for example, this episode we're doing right here, this conversation would be maybe like how therapists can use YouTube to grow their practice with Dr. Marie Fang. That is way more than 4 words. So what should it just be, like YouTube for therapists, or how to win at YouTube, or something like that?
Yeah. So I've heard some experts kind of claim that this is the way you should do it. And I'll leave it to you and others listening to decide what way to do it. But the thumbnail is sort of a unique opportunity to put a little bit more of a clickbaity statement. So it's less about SEO, like what keywords are people searching, because YouTube doesn't know what keywords are in your thumbnail.
True.
But that's where you can sort of say, like, this one trick changed my life, like that kind of clickbaity thing. But don't be lying about it. Like be honest.
Yeah, some of that stuff
that's where you can
crazy.
Yes, but actually deliver, something that's delivering.
Absolutely.
Right. So there's some videos that I made where I've talked about my finances a little bit more, and maybe the title is some like nice SEO rich title on like, how to grow your income in private practice or whatever. And then the thumbnail that I make for it might be like, I make 6K part-time, right? It's
Right.
just
Yeah.
this
Makes
more in your
sense.
face, like, oh, I kind of want to click on that
Yeah.
uh,
Pique the
vibe. So
interest, curiosity, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah, and it's not helpful to try to make every video this like clickbaity thumbnail, but
Yeah.
sometimes some videos lend themselves well. But yeah, I could imagine, like how to win at YouTube, or just,
Okay.
something that feels your eyes can read it quickly while you're scrolling through
Yeah.
a series of a lot of people's thumbnails.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll do that, and then we'll check the data after this
Yeah.
episode goes live, and we'll see how it performs.
Yeah, I hope it works out well. Yes, and that piece is key, because you might have like the most fabulous video addressing exactly what's in the title, but if the thumbnail isn't quite uh, clickable,
Yeah.
then people might just not even click on your video, even if it's exactly what they were looking for. So the
Yeah.
goal with the thumbnail is really to just try to attract people to click on it who are, the ideal people to watch your video.
Right.
I don't want it to make it sound like the whole content of your video is just having an awesome thumbnail, because that's not true. If people click on the thumbnail
Right.
and the video isn't what they wanted, they click out, and that dings you in the YouTube algorithm, just like the bounce rate on a website. They click on
Right.
your blog
Yeah.
post, oh, this isn't what it said it was going to be, I'm out, and it dings you
Yeah.
in the search results as well on Google.
Yeah.
So same thing.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's that
Makes
piece.
sense.
And then after the thumbnail, it really is about the content. Like, okay, I searched this term, your video popped up, the thumbnail looked like the right thumbnail for what I'm looking for. I clicked on it, and now you need to answer or address whatever you said you would in the title, right? So if it's three tips to reduce anxiety in 24 hours, well, your video content better have 3 tips that actually help reduce anxiety in 24 hours. And so there's not one cookie cutter way to approach video, and this is where there's freedom to kind of infuse your own style, or if you're doing an interview like we are, or it's just you talking to the camera, or maybe it's more of a vlog style where you're going about your activities. You have a lot of creative freedom to
Yeah.
make whatever kind of video you want, and it's important to let what you're excited about filming or sharing to be at the forefront, and have that be consistent across your videos.
Yeah.
So like my style, it tends to be a little bit more how to, like, okay, in this video, I'm addressing this one thing, try to get there fairly quickly, like 10 minutes or less, so that if you watch my video, you could walk away from it and implement whatever I brought up in that video pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
But somebody else might have, a longer video format to say, well, let me walk you through all of those steps that maybe I just kind of banged out quickly.
Yeah.
And that somebody else is going to really want that kind of video. So I'm saying all that to say, it's important to just infuse your own personality,
Yeah.
however that looks in the
Yeah.
video, and you can just experiment. There's so much freedom to try different things.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. Yeah. Is there also, like, do you have a typical way that you um end your videos? Is there like call to action, stuff like that people need to know about?
Yeah, that's a great question. And on the YouTube, if your goal is to grow your audience, then the main YouTube call to action tend to be how to get people to keep watching more of your videos.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it'd be similar to like if you wrote a blog post, that maybe for some of your blog posts, the call to action might look like you can read these other blog posts that are related. Like, now that you did this, from this, you can read the next 3 blogs in this sequence or whatever. So that's a lot of times what I do now, especially once you have kind of a database of
Mm-hmm.
videos. Maybe if you film 1 or 2 videos, then you'll get there. But if you have 10
Yeah.
or 30 videos or more, then you could say, well, if in video 20 you're talking about how to help your panic attacks, and one of the tips is to practice deep breathing, and you made a deep breathing video in video number 2, you can say, oh, if you want some help with that, check out This video
Right.
I already made, I linked to it in the description box. So that's one strategy, one type of call to action. And there's other ways to kind of strategize so that, the suggested videos that pop up after your video is over is more of your own videos. That's kind of the goal.
Yeah.
So that people will say, oh yeah, Marie also talked about this. I'm going to go click on that. Or
Yeah.
maybe it auto plays. And so that's helpful for people to kind of keep watching more of your videos. It tells the algorithm that it delivered the right thing for that person. Now they didn't just like your video, but they are interested in all of your content. So it's going to keep boosting your content higher in the algorithm.
Right.
The call to action sometimes is a little bit less direct than it might be in other platforms for different purposes, because the call to action is really like growing your audience. So it's kind of like
Right.
keep watching. So,
Yeah.
subscribe.
Just
The call to
hanging.
action might be subscribe, like the video, anything that boosts your video in the algorithm or helps that person find you again next time you post, is the category of call to action.
Yeah.
I personally haven't done the like, don't forget to like and subscribe this video. That's
Yeah.
I don't know why, just not my style. I guess I would get more people subscribing if I did. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
figure, well,
I
if
mean, it
people
just,
want it, they'll subscribe.
yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like I feel like if I was focusing more on building the platform, like I don't know, it would feel funny to me to be like, don't forget to like and subscribe. But I like the idea of saying like, hey, we've got this other video, check out this one. That feels more helpful to me. I guess it kind of feels a little salesy to be like, subscribe, share, all that sort of stuff. Even though I do know it's going to help build the platform. So yeah, like
Yes.
you said, if they like
Yes.
it, they're gonna like it. So
They'll keep watching.
yeah,
Yes, but as long as you're delivering more content that they'll want to
right,
watch, then they'll keep
yeah,
watching. So you can invite if you really have a relevant thing, or a blog, sometimes it's a blog post or something like that. I'll say I've linked to
yeah,
that below. And so try to keep people on my content. And then if I
yeah,
really am promoting something else, like, okay, maybe I am promoting a course or something like that, that can also be your call to action. But while you're in
right,
that building phase, it is just kind of finding ways to really strategize, like, how do I create like bingeable content, right? It's just like,
yeah,
so for me, if somebody's never touched any content around private practice, like, okay, hopefully if you watch one of my videos and like them, you're probably going to like the other videos or some bulk of them. So,
yeah,
keep watching.
right,
And that's really the invitation when you're trying to grow an audience,
yeah,
is to just keep consuming the content.
absolutely. Well, are there any other last strategies or mistakes you see people making that you'd like to kind of wrap up with?
Yeah. Well, the one kind of simple to name mistake that I see happen a lot for folks starting on YouTube is they try to put too many things into one video. Sometimes I'm guilty of this still, but you know, a video can be 20 minutes, but there might actually be 4 videos in your 20-minute video. So if it's feeling like
Right.
I don't know how to title my video because I covered this, this, and this, maybe it's actually 3 videos now. So just be mindful of that to address exactly what's in your title and probably not wander too far away from that.
Yeah.
And if you have other ideas, great, you have a list of videos to work on for next time. So
Yeah.
that's a big one I see a lot, where it's sort of like, oh, I'm not really sure what this video is about, because it's kind of touching on a lot of topics.
Yeah. And that
So
helps
that's,
create that, as you said, like bingeable content or other videos that keeps people on the channel. So that's kind of a
yeah.
great just strategy in general to see if you can kind of chop it up into multiple videos. And you got your first series, your first playlist. I know YouTube allows you to kind of group, you know, like content together. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just like a quick one that I see for especially a lot of people starting out
Yeah.
on YouTube. And then the other piece is just a lot of people are afraid of video. And I'll repeat something I said, but everyone's awkward at the beginning. And I like what you
Yeah.
said too, Daniel, of like, I'm just going to put awkward me out there if I'm awkward today, and
Yeah. You get it out of the
trust
way.
that, yeah, in time it's going to get better. So even if like
Yeah.
you're following 0 of the strategies that we just talked about, if you're like, oh my goodness, there's a title and a thumbnail and I can't keep track, just do it. Honestly, make all the mistakes, but
Yeah.
post the video. It's better to just start it if
Yeah.
that's what you're wanting to do, than to just feel held up of like, I haven't figured out how to get the perfect whatever out there. So you'll
Right.
improve every time you make a new
Yeah.
video, and
Yeah.
you'll get to look back at your old videos and cringe just like me.
Yeah, it's part of the process. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
this has been great. This is giving me just things to just chew on and think about. I know I'm gonna go back and kind of review our thumbnails and see what we could do there. But thank you so much for being on and just sharing your wisdom and what you've learned about YouTube, and to let us know a little bit about where people can find you. What do you have going on? Anything you want to tell the audience about?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can. First of all, thank you for having me. And yeah, you can find me on YouTube. That's probably where most people, my largest audience sector lives, I guess. My YouTube channel is Private Practice Skills, and it's the same name for Instagram as well. And I have lots of resources on privatepracticeskills.com as well. And for folks who are kind of looking for more like level up training beyond what I have in some of my videos, I do have a course available offering the kind of the Squarespace perspective of how to create your own therapist website, if folks aren't able to budget for a professional like you to really make that awesome
Awesome.
website. So I have that available on my website as well.
Very cool. And we'll make sure to put links to all those in the show notes so people can check that out. So thank you so much for your time. It was great catching up and really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was so nice being here.